Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're diving into the world of hidden treasures as we explore some of the most expensive and ultra-rare United States Roosevelt one-dime coins. Today, we're counting down the top 3 Roosevelt dimes that every collector and investor should know about. These coins were struck at the P, D, and S mint marks, and here's the shocking truth. Even dirty, worn, or seemingly ordinary Roosevelt dimes could be worth thousands or even millions of dollars today. So before you spend that old dime, make sure to stick around, because you might be holding a fortune in your hands. Alright, let's get started. First up, the United States of America Roosevelt one-dime coin from the year 2003, struck with a D mint mark, in good circulated condition, and why this simple dime still matters to collectors and coin lovers. At first glance, the 2003 D Roosevelt dime looks completely ordinary. It has a familiar silver-gray color, visible wear from circulation, and the same design Americans have seen for decades. Because it feels so common, most people assume it has no story and no value beyond 10 cents. But as with many coins, the real interest lies beneath the surface. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. The coin was created shortly after his passing, recognizing his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II, as well as his role in founding the March of Dimes. Since then, the Roosevelt dime has become one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. By 2003, the Roosevelt dime had already been part of American daily life for more than 50 years. It was a trusted and familiar coin, used constantly in everyday transactions. Dimes from this period were heavily circulated, making well-preserved examples more interesting than many people realize. This specific dime carries the D mint mark, meaning it was produced at the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint plays a major role in producing circulating coinage for the United States, and coins from this facility often travel widely across the country. A 2003 D dime in good condition tells the story of real use. Good condition means the coin shows clear signs of circulation. The surfaces are worn, the finer details are softened, and the coin has passed through countless hands over the years. On the obverse, Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait is still visible and recognizable. While the finer hair details and facial lines are worn down, the overall outline of his face remains strong. This balance of wear and clarity is typical of a dime that circulated actively but avoided heavy damage. The inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" are still readable, though lighter than when the coin was first struck. These elements help collectors confirm authenticity and assess how much circulation the coin experienced. The date 2003 is clear, which is important for identification and for collectors who focus on specific years or mint marks within the Roosevelt dime series. On the reverse side, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch remain visible, even though the finer lines have softened with wear. These symbols represent liberty, peace, and strength, core values reflected in American coin design. The words United States of America and one dime are still legible, anchoring the coin's identity and function. Even in good condition, these details contribute to the coin's overall appeal. The color of a circulated 2003 D dime is typically a soft gray with darker areas in recessed parts of the design. This natural toning develops over time and is preferred by collectors over coins that have been harshly cleaned or polished. By 2003, Roosevelt dimes were composed of a copper core with outer layers of nickel. This durable clad composition allowed them to withstand heavy circulation and long-term use. Coins like this dime were used daily in vending machines, parking meters, public transportation, and retail purchases. Each small transaction added to the coin's journey through time. Collectors often appreciate circulated coins because they represent real life and real movement through the economy, rather than untouched perfection. A good-condition 2003 D dime reflects the rhythm of everyday American life in the early 2000s, a period of rapid change and modernization. This coin is also important for collectors completing date and mint mark sets of Roosevelt dimes. Even modern issues are essential for building complete collections. Demand remains steady for honest circulated examples, especially those with clear dates and natural color. The 2003 D dime also serves as a learning tool for beginner collectors. It helps them understand grading standards, wear patterns, and mint mark identification. Studying a circulated dime like this allows collectors to see how design details wear down over time while still remaining recognizable. This coin reminds us that collectability is not always about extreme rarity. Sometimes it's about condition, history, and connection to a specific era. The early 2000s marked a time when cash was still dominant, but digital payments were beginning to emerge. Coins like this dime were part of that transitional period. Holding a 2003 Roosevelt dime today is like holding a small piece of recent American history. It represents countless ordinary moments, purchases, and interactions that together form the fabric of daily life. Many people still find 2003 dimes in change, old jars, or inherited collections. Taking a moment to look closely at these coins can spark curiosity and appreciation for numismatics. Even a modern circulated dime can tell a meaningful story when you understand its background. Coins like this show us that value isn't only measured in dollars, but in history and experience. If you have Roosevelt dimes at home, check the dates and mint marks carefully. You may discover pieces of history hiding in plain sight. Next up, the United States of America Roosevelt dime from 1982, struck with the P mint mark, in circulated condition, and why this coin continues to attract attention among collectors. At first glance, a 1982 P Roosevelt dime may seem completely ordinary. It has the familiar silver-gray color, visible wear from circulation, and the same design Americans have seen for decades. Because it looks so common, most people never think twice before spending it. But within the Roosevelt dime series, this year and mint mark carry a special place. The Roosevelt dime was first issued in 1946, honoring President Franklin Delano Roosevelt and his lasting legacy. Since then, the design has remained largely unchanged, making it one of the most consistent coins in U.S. history. That consistency makes certain years stand out even more to collectors. The year 1982 is particularly important because it was the first year the Philadelphia Mint began placing the P mint mark on circulating dimes. Before this, Philadelphia coins typically carried no mint mark at all. This small letter marked a major shift in U.S. coin production. Because of this change, 1982 P dimes represent a historic milestone. Collectors often view them as the beginning of a new era in modern U.S. coinage, making them essential for complete Roosevelt dime collections. This dime was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most influential mints in the United States. The addition of the P mint mark allowed collectors to more easily identify where coins were struck. A circulated example of a 1982 P dime shows clear signs of use, which adds to its character. Circulation wear softens the details but also tells the story of the coin's journey through everyday life. On the obverse, Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait remains visible and recognizable. The finer details of his hair and face may be worn, but the overall shape and profile are still strong enough to appreciate the design. The word liberty and the motto "In God We Trust" are present, though lighter due to wear. These elements help collectors evaluate how much time the coin spent in circulation. The date 1982 is usually clear on circulated examples, which is important for identification and collector interest. Turning to the reverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch remain visible, even if the fine lines have faded. These symbols of liberty, peace, and strength are central to the Roosevelt dime's design. The inscriptions "United States of America" and "1 dime" are still readable, anchoring the coin's identity and purpose. The color of a circulated 1982 P dime is typically a soft gray with darker tones in recessed areas. This natural toning develops over time and is often preferred over artificially cleaned surfaces. By 1982, Roosevelt dimes were made of a copper core with outer layers of nickel. This clad composition gave the coin durability and helped it survive heavy use. These dimes were widely used in daily transactions, from vending machines to parking meters and public transportation. Each small transaction added wear and history, shaping the coin's current appearance. Collectors often appreciate circulated coins because they represent real economic activity and everyday American life. A 1982 P dime in circulated condition reflects the early 1980s, a time of economic change and modernization in the United States. For many collectors, this coin is a key piece when assembling a complete set of Roosevelt dimes by date and mint mark. Even though millions were produced, the historical importance of the first P mint mark year gives this dime lasting significance. Beginner collectors often start with coins like this because they are accessible, educational, and historically meaningful. Studying a circulated example helps collectors learn grading standards and recognize normal wear patterns. This dime also reminds us that small design changes, like the addition of a mint mark, can create lasting interest in a coin series. Holding a 1982p Roosevelt dime today connects you directly to a turning point in U.S. mint history. It represents a moment when even minor details became important for collectors and historians. Many people still find 1982p dimes in change, coin jars, or old collections. Taking the time to examine these coins closely can spark curiosity and a deeper appreciation for numismatics. Even a circulated dime can be meaningful when you understand its background and role in history. Coins like this show that value is not always about rarity alone, but about story and significance. If you have Roosevelt dimes at home, check carefully for the 1982p mint mark. You might already own a small but important piece of U.S. coin history. Next up, the United States of America Roosevelt 1 dime coin from 1996, struck with a D mint mark, in circulated condition, and uncovering why this ordinary-looking dime continues to matter to collectors and coin enthusiasts. At first glance, the 1996 D Roosevelt dime appears simple and familiar. It carries the classic silver-gray color, smooth surfaces from years of circulation, and a design that has remained nearly unchanged for decades. Because it looks so common, many people assume it has no importance beyond its face value. But within the Roosevelt dime series, even coins like this have stories tied to American history, daily life, and the evolution of U.S. coinage. The Roosevelt dime was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, a leader remembered for guiding the nation through the Great Depression and World War II. The coin also reflects his association with the March of Dimes, a public health movement that helped fight polio. By the time the 1996 dime was struck, this design had already become a permanent part of American culture. The year 1996 itself is meaningful. It marked the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime, making coins from this year quietly symbolic. While special uncirculated and proof sets were produced to celebrate the anniversary, regular circulating dimes like this one continued their role in everyday commerce, passing unnoticed through millions of hands. This particular dime carries the D mint mark, indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. The Denver Mint has long been responsible for producing vast quantities of circulating coins, and many of them travel far beyond their original regions. A 1996 D dime could have moved across multiple states, spending years in wallets, cash registers, and coin jars. In circulated condition, this dime shows honest signs of use. The surface is worn smooth in places, and the finer design details have softened over time. Rather than reducing interest, this wear adds character, showing that the coin truly served its purpose in the American economy. On the obverse, Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait remains clearly recognizable. While the fine lines of his hair and facial features are worn down, the strong outline of his profile still stands out. This balance between wear and visibility is typical of a dime that circulated steadily but avoided severe damage. The inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" remain visible, though lighter than when the coin was first struck. These elements help collectors judge the level of circulation and confirm the coin's authenticity. The date 1996 is usually clear even on circulated examples, which is important for identification and for collectors who focus on complete date and mint mark sets. Turning to the reverse, the central torch symbolizing liberty remains visible, even though its fine lines may be softened by wear. The olive branch and oak branch, representing peace and strength, frame the torch and continue to define the design despite circulation. The words United States of America and 1 dime remain readable, anchoring the coin's identity and reinforcing its role in everyday transactions. The color of a circulated 1996 D dime is typically a natural gray with darker toning in recessed areas. This color develops over years of use and exposure, and many collectors prefer it over coins that have been artificially cleaned or polished. By 1996, Roosevelt dimes were composed of a copper core layered with nickel. This clad construction gave the coin durability, allowing it to withstand decades of heavy circulation without losing its basic structure. Dimes like this were used constantly in vending machines, public transportation systems, parking meters, and retail purchases. Each small transaction added another chapter to the coin's journey. Collectors often appreciate circulated coins because they represent real life rather than untouched perfection. A circulated dime tells a story of movement, trade, and everyday moments. The mid-1990s were a time when cash was still central to daily life, just before digital payments began to change how people handled money. This dime reflects that era perfectly. For collectors building full Roosevelt dime collections, every date and mint mark matters, including modern circulating issues like this one. Even though millions of 1996 D dimes were produced, condition, originality, and historical context still influence collector interest. This coin is especially useful for beginner collectors who want to learn about grading, wear patterns, and mint mark identification. Studying a circulated example helps collectors understand how different parts of the design wear down at different rates. The 1996 D dime also highlights how consistent U.S. coin design can be, even as technology and society rapidly change. Holding this dime today connects you to everyday American life of the 1990s, from small purchases to daily routines. Many people still find these dimes in their change, old jars, or family collections, often without realizing their significance. Taking a moment to look closely at such coins can spark curiosity and a deeper appreciation for numismatics. Even a modern circulated dime can become interesting when viewed through the lens of history and collecting. Coins like this remind us that value is not only about rarity or high prices, but also about story, connection, and time. If you have Roosevelt dimes at home, take a closer look at the dates and mint marks. You might already own small pieces of American history.